name is Sydney and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, for the first time in quite a long while, I'm going to be doing another read this book talk. It's a little different from most book talks you see here on YouTube. Rather than going super in depth, the first part of the video is me talking about why you should read this book if you haven't, and then the second part of the video is me giving a kind of third, second, and first place ranking of like my favorite events that happened in the book if you have read it. So gee, I wonder what book we're talking about today. Oh wait, we're talking about two books, and those books are Once Upon a Broken Heart and The Ballad of Never After by Stephanie Garber. Let me tell you something, I started off 2023 with a bang. I ended 2022 by finishing the Caraval series. I literally finished finale with about an hour and a half left before the clock struck 12 on New Year's Day, and then I immediately went into these, of course starting with this one and then going to this one after the fact. I got Ballad of Never After for Christmas. I've had this for a while. I think I tried picking this up in 2021, but I just got really busy and I totally did not finish it, and so I came back, circled my way around, finished it in like 3 days, and then I finished this not long after. So if you've seen my Why You Should Read Scythe and Thunderhead video, it's kind of gonna operate similarly, so let's just get into it. I loved this book so much, I even got my nails done like Ballad of Never After purple. I was genuinely obsessed. So let's go ahead and get into it. I'm only gonna tell you why you should read this because obviously this is a spoiler and a continuation of this book. So the things I have noted as why you should read it are similar and they kind of bounce off of each other. So here we go. Number one, and I almost want to say first and foremost, which doesn't really have to do with the book directly, but also yes it does. Reason number one is Stephanie Garber is an amazing writer. If you haven't read Caraval, you need to rethink your life. But she has the Caraval trilogy, and then she has these two, and then the last book, oh, by the way, when you're watching this, A Curse for True Love has not come out yet. It comes out in September. It is currently January. So book hangover time activated. Stephanie is so good at maintaining this universe. This is going to bleed into a lot of points I make later, but Stephanie is just a phenomenal author. She has great continuity with her books. She's very immersive in how she really just takes you by the head and dunks you into the world she's created. If you have not read a Stephanie Garber book, you're really missing out. You can read these two first, or you can read the Caraval trilogy first. I personally recommend the Caraval trilogy just because there are cameos with Caraval characters in the beginning of this book, and it kind of spoils, I don't want to say everything, but the main point of the Caraval books. So maybe just read Caraval first and then come back to these, but that's just one woman's opinion. Next up, and again, this is towards the top of my list, but it is the character dynamics. I want to say that I've been reading a lot of spicy book material, and so kind of backing away from that and reading a book that's more cutesy is really interesting to experience because these books have me giggling and kicking my feet. Whereas spicy books, you kind of have to sit there and school your features into a state of neutrality and make sure people don't know that you're reading spicy stuff, or the language is a little bit more foul. But these books, it's all pure. If someone asked you what you were reading, you would not be afraid to show them, but the dynamics are still at the heart of these books versus spicy books. The dynamics between the two characters, let's just put it this way. Oh my gosh. I'm my cheeks are red thinking about these two. I just love them. The banter is so good. The characters who are I must be cruel, it's my purpose, don't expect me to be better. But then the character that has a heart and not expects, but believes that they are more than a hard exterior. I just love them. The character dynamics, and not just between our heroine and the other protagonist, but also just the friendly relationships, the stepsister relationship that is mentioned in the book, I honestly really love, and the fondness the narrator has when speaking of her parents. It's just, I love the character dynamics in this book. Number 3, speaking of our narrator, I think that you should read this book because of the narrator, because of Evangeline. There's an app, I literally don't know the name of it, but I'll insert a picture. It tells you like what book characters or movie characters, TV show characters, things like that, what Myers-Briggs and Enneagram personality they are, and Evangeline matches me to a T. So it was really fun reading from a narrator that like really sees the best in people and sees the best in different environments, even these cruel fates, or in like her stepsister, or different rulers, or people hosting parties and social classes. And I just really loved Evangeline's not naivety, but like genuine wish to see people in like a better light. I think given that she is a nicer character and has a bigger heart in that way, especially considering she seeks out the Prince of Hearts, I think people would assume that she's soft, and I would definitely beg to differ. She reminds me a lot of Mulan, maybe not in a combat way, but in the premise of like her duty is to her heart. I really saw that kind of shine through in these 2 books, and I just loved her. I loved Evangeline, and I think that y'all would really enjoy getting a story narrated by her. Number 4, I'm gonna say that you should read this book because of the descriptions and the world building. Obviously it's in the same universe as Caraval, but it's not a continuation. Again, there's cameos of characters from the Caraval trilogy. I really like that it's fairy tale based and whimsical, but of course there are times where there are opportunities for darkness. I also really liked that the world building was not something that had to be prefaced at the beginning and made the beginning slow. It was something you learned throughout the book, which is exactly how I think world building should be done. And lastly, I think that you should read this duology, almost trilogy, because of the tension. And I think I kind of mentioned this earlier, but there was a really good balance of romantic tension, action tension, and like suspense. The pacing was incredible. There were so many chapters I was like, I'm gonna stop after this one. And then it like started building to something and the chapter ended on a, and you were like, I can't put this down. Like I have to keep reading this. Stephanie is so good at that, and it makes me kind of angry because I did not sleep a lot when I was reading this series, but it was really, really good. And all the chapters continued into each other. They flowed very well. And I just really, really loved these 2 books. All right, now's the part where I'm going to do Once Upon a Broken Heart first. I'm gonna give you my top 3 events, and then I will do The Ballad of Never After and give you those top 3 events. So if you've read Once Upon a Broken Heart, congratulations, it's time to chat. However, if you have not read The Ballad of Never After, just keep in mind that once I finish talking about these, it'll be your time to exit. Here we go, let's chat. So for Once Upon a Broken Heart, I'm actually going to give an honorable mention event, and that was when Evangeline gets to see and meet the Dragnas. It was really cool that she got to meet Scarlett and Donatella. I absolutely loved that, and I liked that they were her like messenger characters and sent her and propelled her like into her action for the story. And I liked that was kind of all that you saw. And I liked that we got to see a letter that was like year 1 of the Scarlet Dynasty. I was like, whoa, that's weird. She's a whole ruler. All right, my 3rd place event, and I'll provide some context, but that is seeing that Luke is now a vampire. I didn't know where we were going with Luke, especially after he didn't show or he tried to marry Marisol again. I really don't care if it was a love potion or not, but I was like, what is the point of this character besides him being the reason that Evangeline went to see the Prince of Hearts in the very first place? A wolf attack? I don't know. I was like, okay, maybe he'll be the challenger for Apollo. But then Apollo was poisoned, and I was like, okay, where's Luke? But then she started spending more time with Jax. I was like, you know what? screw Luke, I don't want him, it's fine. And then he showed up at like the most interesting time because I had finally forgotten that he had any significance. But that end of that chapter when it's like, I see a familiar face and he says my name and it's like, oh, it's Luke. I liked that he was a vampire and the whole deal about like, I promise I won't bite you, like please free me. And then he like went to go bite her, but like Jax jumped in front of her. I just loved that whole scene. All right, my second place event is the truth concoction on Tiberius. Evangeline is badass, and I love that she managed to get him to drink the flavored water with like the truth serum. Maybe I'm thinking too much Divergent, but anyways, that whole scene where he can't tell a lie and he kind of outs himself and outs Marisol. I also really loved how Evangeline was trying to like protect Marisol and like give her like the benefit of the doubt, and then of course she snitches, and you know what happens to snitches?
Snitches end up in ditches.
It was a very satisfying ending kind of wrap up. I really liked that, even though Jax betrayed her. But like, what did she expect? And number one, surprisingly, my favorite event from this book, Once Upon a Broken Heart, at least, was the beginning. The beginning was really good because most beginnings are so slow. They really are, and it's painful. But this one, you see Evangeline just show up to the church, plead for the Prince of Hearts to fix this unreconciled love. Oh, and then he shows up and he's a jerkwad. And then immediately there's a deal where she's got to kiss 3 people. It immediately launches the story off. And then of course that through when she turns herself into stone to unleash the wedding party. I really, really liked that because already you got to see like she was such a noble character, and I just really, really loved that about her. I really wish that my laundry machine was like not as loud. I'm so sorry, y'all. That's what happens when you live in an apartment. All right, it's time for the Ballad of Never After. So if you haven't read Ballad, get out. Get out right now. I almost got spoiled through fan art. Luckily, the artist put a spoiler warning over the painting. Get out now. Do not let me spoil anything for you. You will regret it. You will be so mad. You will be kicking yourself. Just go. Now. Okay, so Ballad of Never After. I have no honorable mentions, so we're going right into number 3. Number 3 is Jax is the Archer. Listen, I am such a Swiftie, and if Stephanie Garber did not do this so that I can obsess over the Archer, leave. Just get out. Oh my gosh, I listened to the Archer so much while reading this book, and I kind of knew that Jax was gonna be the Archer, like, eventually. His whole confession after he was talking about using the Valerie Arch to go back in time and have like a redo meet cute with Donatella Dragna because apparently she was supposed to be his true love. The whole confession that kind of spiraled out of him afterwards when he was talking about his first fox and how he fought the curse and he beat it, but then he kissed her and she died. And he's done the same thing ever since. And Evangeline will never not be that girl too. I hurt all over. I was in so much pain, but I loved that. The first reveal when it was like, oh, and here's a mysterious name and Jax must be the Archer. I understand that there was like a whole device where it was like, no, he's not gonna be. And I'm like, yes, he is. Ain't no way Evangeline Fox isn't that and Jax isn't the Archer. Get out of town. Like, pack it up. Of course he's the Archer. Like, I can see all the edits now with the fan art and the audio being The Archer by Taylor Swift. I'm sorry. Put it on my For You page. Number 2. The I'm Yours scene. The I'm Yours scene. I want to find it. Okay, I found it. Chapter 37. The Mirthstone is affecting their common sense. it heightens their desire. And Evangeline is having this whole personal conundrum deliberation with herself where she's like, I know that Jax isn't a good person to fall for, but some girl was playing hide and seek from her love, but time saw her and had her slip through the cracks, and she never stopped falling, and that's how she felt falling for Jax. Beautiful. And so eventually they're trying to go to bed, and Jax is like, just stay here with me. And I'm like, please stay there with him, please. Imagine. Have you decided to stay? I thought you already heard what I was thinking, she whispered. I want you to say it out loud. It reminds me of that scene from Twilight where it was like, say it.
Say it. Out loud. Say it.
And the last line of this chapter, this was a good stopping point, but I could not stop. This is what I mean by like the chapters are paced so well. She meant to say, for tonight, I'm yours, but all that came out was, I'm yours. I also was obsessed and so thrilled to know that there is fan art over that scene. I know it's reversed and I know there's a ring light, but like, come on. The fan art for this series is elite. All right, last but certainly not least, number one. None of you should be surprised because I'm a very dark person sometimes. But my favorite scene from this book was, there is nothing of equal value to me. I literally died dead. And considering I relate to Evangeline, I did die dead. She died. I was very shocked by the caster reveal. I think once the arch opened and chaos went in, I think I started to realize, I bet someone is trapped in there. Because I know Lala was talking about how her true love is in there, potentially. And so I was like, oh, could there be people in there all this time? And again, the rule of if you don't see a dead body, they're not dead applies here, because all you hear are like the histories of the beheadings and everything. So I think that the reveal that all of the Valors being in the Valerie Arch was super interesting. I should have seen Caster coming. Caster was the one surprise, Chaos being Caster. And it's so funny because Stephanie will say things and write things and be like, I'm just gonna leave this right here, do with it what you will. And so you like kind of just forget about it, and then it comes back and you're like, I'm so dumb. So like the comment about don't look into a vampire's eyes, F me. As soon as Evangeline like looked at his eyes, I was like, oh no, oh no, this, oh my gosh. I literally, Honorable mention, I'm coming back around. So the mirror curse is on Evangeline and Apollo, and something happens to her back and it's not pretty. And she says, it hurts, Jax. And he goes, I know, love. I'm going to take you somewhere safe. I had a flashback to freaking Aaron Warner Anderson. Oh, wow. I thought there was only two. I thought there were only two blondes in fictional book history that I'm like, okay, I rock with you. Jax has made it on that list. We got Max and Shreve from the old days of the selection. Yes. Then we've got Aaron Warner Anderson, who got me through like high school and college. And now we have Jax, who gets me through my adulthood. Yeah, hallelujah. Love Jax so much. The fan art for this series is elite. And I had a Warner flashback. I was like, oh my gosh. Oh, that's so cute. Now, as for what happens in A Curse for True Love, I don't know, because Evangeline's memories are swiped. Does that mean that Apollo is the villain? Does Apollo know Jax is a fate / the Archer? Does Apollo not like Jax? Are they enemies? Or is he just like, I'm gonna take it all away? Because it seemed like a villainous move at the end, but at the same time, like, he wanted to try things over with his literal wife. Also, does that mean that I'm rooting for a homewrecker? Cause if so, comment down below what some of your favorite scenes were, and if you're excited for A Curse for True Love, or if there's anything that is not adding up, or anything you want to talk about. Like, I'm waiting for that last kiss to be called in. The next book I have that I'm currently reading is Daisy Jones and the Six. So if you haven't read that, you can finally play catch up with me and read that. I'll be doing a why you should read Daisy Jones and the Six video very soon in preparation for the movie that's coming out. So be looking forward to that, and also subscribe down below for more of my personal life videos with vlogs and other fun things. Once more, my name is Sydney. I make new YouTube videos on Sundays, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, everyone.